participants that have just joined. We are going to start the meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Samson Webster, for being our guest speaker for today. You have 30 minutes to do a presentation. You're actually going to tell us who you are, what you do, and what you're going to be telling us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. As you rightly said, I am Samson Websi. I'm a journalist. I worked at CRTV for close to 20 years, and I'm also a Chevening Fellow. That is, I was a Chevening Fellow at the University of Birmingham. That is in 2009. At the moment, I am an expert in peace journalism. I'm also a consultant in communication, and I am an instructor at ISTAC Omnisport here in Yaoundé. So I think that is the brief presentation of myself. Now, coming to the topic we have to talk about, uh, the topic is Cameroonian youth and the urge to go abroad, what to know. Um, this is a particularly topical issue that concerns us in Cameroon at this particular moment. Because when we observe, we realize that the dream of most young Cameroonians is to go abroad. They, they feel that they have to go abroad for one reason or the other. Now, we can group those who have the urge and the desire to go abroad into three main categories. First of all, we have those who are eager, who want to go for further studies. That is students who have just graduated from either high school or who have obtained their first degrees and want to go for further studies. That is the first category. You also have another category of students who want to go for further studies, but they want to go abroad through scholarships that are offered by either some international organizations or governments. And then you have others who want to go abroad through private sponsors. That is the first category of people we have among the young Cameroonians who are very eager nowadays to go abroad. The second category is made up of essentially those who just want to leave the country and go for what we call greener pastures. In this category, we find mostly university graduates who have left the university several years ago and they have been unable to get jobs in Cameroon. So they feel that if they leave the country and maybe go abroad, they could get something doing. We also have another category of those who want to go for greener pastures. These are school dropouts, people who could not complete their studies. They have been around trying to look for one thing or the other to do, but they did not get it. So they feel that they better go and try their luck elsewhere. And of course, the third category is those who are working in Cameroon, but are not satisfied with their jobs. So they feel that they better go and get jobs that give them more money and give them more satisfaction abroad. Now we have a last category of young Cameroonians who are very eager to go abroad, not by their own will, as we will put it, but out of some kind of circumstances. Uh, we may talk about the atmosphere in the country at this particular moment. You know that we have the crisis in the Northwest and the Southwest regions, which has caused a lot of displacement. There are so many people who lost their businesses, their school, they were attending out there and they want to go and try elsewhere. We also have some people who, because of their political activities, they're feeling uncomfortable to continue to remain here and they want to travel abroad to, be in some kind of safe haven. And then we also have another group. These ones are criminals who are being pursued by the forces of law and order and even the justice system. They escape the country. They are more or less being forced to leave the country to go and maybe have some peace elsewhere. Now, when we look at the popular destinations for most of these young Cameroonians who want to go abroad, we realize that they are mainly, you have Europe, America, Asia, and the Middle East. When we talk of the United States, America, we are thinking here of Canada and the United States itself. Then when we talk of Europe, we have countries like France, Britain, Belgium, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and all of those countries that you have in Europe. They are very attractive to most of the young Cameroonians who want to go abroad. Then you now go to the Middle East. In the Middle East, the countries that particularly attract young Cameroonians, first of all, you have the United Arab Emirates, specifically Dubai. So many young Cameroonians now think that to get something doing, they must go to Dubai. You have other countries around there like Qatar, you have Kuwait, you have Lebanon. I think those are the main countries which tend to attract many young Cameroonians nowadays. Then when you go to Asia, you have countries like China, you have Malaysia, you have Indonesia, you have Thailand. I mean, and all of those countries that you can imagine in the East. Now let's look at the conditions under which each of these groups of people travel. For the students, I think generally most of them go through the normal procedure, that is they seek for admission in a foreign university, they fulfill the requirements, and then they go, whether it is by private sponsor or they are going on some kind of scholarship. Those ones generally have the legal papers and they don't often have problems. The category that I think usually have problems is the category of those who want to go abroad to work. We have talked about 4 main destinations. We have the Americas, we have Europe, we have Asia, and the Middle East. So when they are going to work, there are certain things that many of them don't understand. The first thing is that they go through intermediaries. These intermediaries usually give them information that is usually not exact. They usually paint a very rosy picture, a very beautiful picture of life out there, because they are looking for clients and they know that any candidate that they get to travel abroad, they also have a commission on the money that they pay. You know, they pay money, visa fees, different charges, and they make a lot of money from that. Then you also have things that they don't take into consideration. Most of those who leave from Cameroon, they don't know the countries where they are going to. They don't take the time to do the necessary background check, either with the embassies, the consular services, or even just go online to get adequate information on how those countries. And then there is who quite often they promise jobs, they have their agents in the destination country, they promise jobs, and then they do everything, and then they get young Cameroonians who are eager to travel. The last thing which I realized that most of these young people who travel abroad don't take into consideration is that most of them, when they are leaving from Cameroon, they are given tourist visas. Tourist visas, generally, they are visas for short stay. The stay can either be for 3 months or even less. And people going to look for greener pastures, they don't think that how can I go on a 3 months visa and then I want to look for a job which will entail that I stay in the country for years. So that is one of the biggest problems that I realized that most of those who want to travel abroad face. And then you have another group that are more or less led by the intermediaries, especially those going to the Americas. They decide to take a road through Mexico, thinking that once they land in Mexico and trek right up to the United States, they'll be able to get into the United States, and as soon as they get there, they will be granted visas. These things are not as easy as some of those intermediaries tell them. In most cases, when you enter a country illegally, whether it's in the United States, whether it is in Europe or in the Middle East, um, you are taken to what is usually called asylum centers. From the asylum centers, now you make an application applying that they should grant you an asylum, that is a status of a refugee, so that you can stay in the country. It's usually not easy because I remember some people have been in the asylum centers for years. Their cases have not yet come up in court for the government to either grant them the asylum or to reject. And the living conditions under which those asylum seekers who find themselves in those countries are usually not the best of conditions. So what I will advise most of those who want to travel abroad, especially our young people, is that the first thing to do is to choose the destination. I mean, after choosing the destination, they should gather as much information as possible on the conditions of work and the conditions of living in that particular country. You can either get this information from the embassies or the consular services of the countries concerned. In the case where there are no embassies or consular services, you can go online. I think most of these developed countries where our youth want to go, they have websites that contain quite useful information. On those websites, you may find that uh, you are oriented to some official or recognized tour guides or travel companies that are authorized to bring in immigrants into that particular country. And those agencies, whether it's a travel agency, they usually have the official required conditions for anybody to travel abroad. So that is the first thing I will advise those who want to travel abroad to do. They should also uh, learn something. They should also try to gather information about the living conditions. Are foreigners allowed to work in the country where I am going? If foreigners are allowed to work, what are the conditions required for foreigners to get work? There is also another consideration which I think is very important, which people should always have in mind. When you are traveling to a particular country, try to understand social life in that country. You have certain countries where social life is restricted either by the laws of the country, it can be restricted by religious factors, whereby you are not allowed to do certain things. And then you have other countries where you can as well get a visa to go, but you will be very uncomfortable because of issues having to do with racism, racial discrimination. So these are some of the things that I feel our young people should always have in mind. I'm talking because from my experience as a journalist who did a lot of work on Cameroonians who travel to the Middle East. I did a few reports on Cameroonians who try to travel to Europe at all cost. And I have an insight of some of the conditions and some of the difficulties that they encounter. So I'm sharing this so that it can be helpful to our young people who are very eager to travel. We know that we cannot say people should not travel abroad. No. The world is made in a way that people must move from one place to the other. But you don't just move aimlessly because you have to move. I talked of a category of young Cameroonians who are also eager to move. I mean, people who already have something doing here. You have people who already have jobs. They think that they will go and get better jobs there. It is usually said that a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. Most people have abandoned better jobs here and gone over there, and they realize that the jobs they do there, those are the kind of jobs that they cannot do. Even the payment they are given, it's not enough to make them live very comfortable lives there. So
I was actually,
I will advise anybody who already has a job in Cameroon that you better just keep your job in Cameroon. If you are leaving when you already have, let's say, an international job, that you are leaving from a job in Cameroon to go for a better job that you already have, that one is different. But to abandon your job in Cameroon and make a leap into the dark, I think that is a very big risk. We've seen people who abandon jobs here. They went to some of these Western countries and they're roaming the streets as beggars. I remember seeing people sleeping on the streets in the evenings. They have sleeping bags. They sleep in sleeping bags. But these are people who are working in Cameroon. So, Lisa, I think generally that is what I can say about the urge among young Cameroonians to travel abroad. Maybe our listeners and some of the viewers, they may have one or two questions, and maybe you yourself, you can have a question to ask, which
yes,
I can maybe try to answer to the best of my ability.
that's right. I
Thank
was
you, Lisa.
actually coming to that. Thank you very much, Mr. Samson Websy. As a
Yeah.
veteran journalist who have been in the field for some years now, I would just love you to
Yeah.
give us a vivid description of what's actually happening in Cameroon that is making youth want to go abroad at all costs. I mean, someone will have a paying job, like it can actually sustain your family, but then they prefer to go abroad. What's really happening? Can you give us a vivid description of what's happening? Can you give us a scope?
No,
What's
the
happening?
first
What's
thing
what's
is
the
that
situation in the country? What's the situation in the country? What's making youth want to move away instead of channeling this energy? They have the energy, they have the capacity, they have the brains, they have the mindset, they have the mentality, they have everything it takes to build a good country, a good Cameroon. But yet we see them moving out every day. Why can't they just channel this energy to build this country in a way they themselves see other countries to be? Can you give us a scoop?
yes, I have talked to quite a number of young people here in Cameroon, um, and all of us must admit that the conditions of work, the pay, and the job satisfaction is generally not there in most of the cases.
Mm,
They feel that if they go abroad, they will get the job satisfaction. And there's one factor too that entices most of these young people to think that if they go abroad, they are going to make big money. You see, at the end of the year, around December, when you see some of these their peers who are in the US, Europe, they come back, they're splashing money just like just like paper. So most of the ones who are back in the country, they feel that money is just abundant out there, that they must go.
they feel
I
intimidated.
think that's the feeling. Yes, they feel that life. I mean, that you work out there and you get the money. That is what I think is the big factor. That is, they see what their peers who have gone out there come back with around December. They come up with very plush cars. I mean, they're just flashing money left and right.
So do you think there is something the government can do to restrict this movement, to limit these youth from going out to focus their energy on building their country? Do you think there are opportunities they could give the youth to develop themselves? Like we have been talking about the agricultural domain. Yeah, it's verbal. People say the Ministry of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and all the rest have a lot of opportunities in stock for youth. They talk about agriculture, modern agricultural system. They talk about fishing, talk about us, but we don't see that into practice. Do you think the government have what do you think the government should do to remedy this situation? Do you think they really have a role to play in restricting this use from moving out? What do we really do?
I think the government cannot really restrict them. Um, you've talked about the opportunities for jobs that have been created by government institutions. You have PSC, you have the National Employment Fund, and many others. We must admit that these institutions cannot provide enough jobs for all the Cameroonians that are graduating from different professional schools, from different universities. The government cannot do that. The private sector is there to give a hand, but the openings in the private sector in Cameroon are very, very limited because the private sector in Cameroon is weak. We cannot compare the private sector in Cameroon to the private sector in a country like Nigeria. So you because of this now you see that the openings are a bit limited for the youth in Cameroon. A few years back, the government decided to do what you call the professionalization of university education. The goal was to train young people who will come out not looking for jobs, but who will come out and create jobs for themselves. We have many of these youths who have succeeded. They are setting startups in the computer sector. Some are into different types of businesses. Some are even into agriculture. A week ago, I was in a locality somewhere here in the central region of Cameroon. The place is called Kamkata. It is on the way to Yoko. You go there, you see a large community of young people who have left from the Northwest region. I must tell you that if you see what they are doing there is none of them there who doesn't have a cocoa farm. All of them have cocoa farms. Some of them are into oil plantations. And at the end of the year, from October, November, and December, you just need to visit them. They are counting money in terms of millions. They're not counting in terms of hundreds of thousands. These are essentially young people who are in the Northwest and maybe some from the Southwest region who have escaped from the situation out there. But there are people who are used to doing agriculture, maybe in their different localities. If we now take the youth who have grown up in the towns, they have never seen a farm. They may be doing agriculture in their institutions, but as long as they have never actually done agriculture practically, it will be an illusion to imagine that you will tell somebody who has never worked in a farm to go back to the farm. It will not work. So I think in as much as the government is trying its best, I feel that they need to do more by supporting the private sector so that they can create enterprises, and that they should also support these young Cameroonians who come out of schools, either professional schools or universities. Not only the ones who are here, there are some Cameroonians who left, like I said, some go out to study. Most of the very brilliant ones who go and study abroad, at the end of their courses, they don't come back here. They don't come back here because a few of them have come back, tried to create some businesses here, but administrative procedures, tax procedures, investment complications, just send them back. And they went back. At the end of the day, the country is losing the best talents. I must say, if you go to a country like Germany, you go to Italy, you go to Britain, you go to the United States, you see some of the best Cameroonians in terms of technological know-how, in terms of medical know-how. They are there. They are making their money. I think what I can say the government should do is to encourage those ones who are out there to come and invest here. That is by creating a conducive environment for the diaspora. Some of them have enterprises abroad which are flourishing. But if they want to plant maybe branches of the same enterprises here in Cameroon, I'm afraid they will not, they hardly succeed.
Are too high.
Yes, we have a few examples of those who have succeeded, but the majority of the cases, they will not succeed. So I don't know whether some of our viewers or you yourself, you may have some other question.
That's right. So to limit this movement of youth from one country to another, the government really need to invest in the other domain. That is how do I put it? They need to create more opportunities for youth back here in the country, and then I think subsidize their taxes too, because I've seen cases where people have businesses abroad, but they can't bring back their businesses home. Why? Because the taxes are too much. The taxes are heavy. They can't carry it. You have just a single container to bring back to Cameroon to sell, to have your small ends meet, to encourage your brother to go into business and all the. But you cannot just do that because they ask you for heavy sums of money. It's so discouraging. So I think the government really has a very big role to play as far as this is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Sapso Websi. I don't know if Mr. Samuel has a question. Hello, Mr. Samuel. Hello, Mr. Samuel.
It seems Samuel is not with us. I just wanted to add that
Okay.
the bigger problem in Cameroon may not actually be in terms of the amount of taxes.
Okay.
The problem is that the taxes are not streamlined in a way that when you're starting a business, you know that this is what I'll pay as tax, and then you pay, and then you get all the requirements, and then you come and open a business. Before you get going, you see the council comes, and they're asking you for their own documents and their own requirements, which maybe from the outset you did not know. You will have some other structures. There are so many of them that business people tend to encounter, especially the young ones, and you realize that for somebody who has just started a business with a small capital, before you realize your entire capital is gone, either trying to give tips to people left and right. It's just unfortunate. I think that the essential thing which the government has to do is to create the conducive atmosphere. All the taxes, be it by the council or by the taxation department, should be streamlined in a way that when you are starting a business, you know that you have these taxes to pay. Maybe in one place, you pay once and for all. Throughout the year, no other person comes to disturb you. But if the situation is allowed to be the way it is now, whereby the taxation department might give you maybe 2 years period of grace, then you start your business, you see other branches of the administration coming in. You have the council, you have there are so many of those structures. You just need to talk to some of these young people who are doing small businesses by the roadside.
That's right. I just noticed Mr. Robinson Kenye is French speaking, so I would just want to say some things in French so he can he can he keeps coming off and on. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe his network connection or something. But if he comes back,
Yes, it's possible he may be having network problems. Yeah.
yeah, network issues.
You wanted to give him some kind of
On, yeah, they spoke
summary
of
in
what,
French.
yeah, what we're talking about in French. So, okay,
Okay.
I think it's
Okay, you
back.
can.
Monsieur Cogné, vous m'écoutez? Hello, Monsieur Cogné, est-ce que vous m'écoutez? Monsieur Cogné, est-ce que vous m'écoutez? It seems like he has terrible network problems there. Same with Mr. Samuel Yamte.
I hope his microphone is not muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute him, sir.
Okay, try and then you try again whether he's on with us.
Yes, sure. And there he. Monsieur Kenya, est-ce que vous êtes avec nous? Oh, it seems he has network problems. I'm unable to unmute him. But in the absence of that, I think we had a successful meeting today, Mr. Sampson. Thank you very much for coming, and I'm so grateful. We are going to put up this meeting on our YouTube page. I will send you the link so we can share for other people to hear the message. Those who are not able to join us this afternoon. We had a lot of participants, but it's like I don't know what happened. Maybe network, or maybe they had some challenges joining us. But I hope to see them next Friday. So we'll put this up on our YouTube channel, and I will send you the link so you can share. And also, other people who are not able to join us today, they will actually follow us up on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for
Maybe
making out time to be with us this
yes,
evening.
maybe before we round off, I just want to give a last word to our young people who
All
are
right, all right, sir.
who will
Go ahead,
be
sir.
watching us.
All right.
Before traveling out of so that they do a lot of background check,
Mm-hmm.
know the destination country, get as much information about the country as possible. Don't just depend on the intermediary who is trying to process your papers. As soon as you get that information, if you are in a country which has the embassy or a consular service of that country, you go to the embassy or you go to the consular service, and then they will give you all the information that you need. People should stop thinking that you can just get up, pay your flight to a country, and then you start working. And they should take note, especially, you cannot travel with a student visa or a tourist visa and go and start looking for a job. It doesn't work like that in any of these Western countries. You don't use a tourist visa or a student visa to get a job. In some countries, consideration, they may give them some allowance. I mean, some possibility to do private jobs. But if you have a tourist visa, please know that you cannot look for a job with a tourist visa. No company recruits anybody who is a tourist. It will be like a tourist who comes to Cameroon and start looking for a job. It doesn't work that way. So I think somebody somebody is online, somebody is with us, somebody is back with us.
Yes, they are just joining, and they are joining super late when we are rounding off with the meeting already. So they'll just catch up what will publish on our YouTube channel. I think they'll follow the program when it's already published. So the bottom line is for people to do their background checks before they can move out of the country. You don't just leave your country and go to an unknown destination. You don't know what you're going to do there. You don't know where you're going to live. You don't know how you're going to settle down. Just leave and go to an unknown destination, whereas you have a home. I mean, youth in Cameroon should channel their energy in building their country. You can make your country the paradise you want it to look like. You can make other people dream to be in your country. You can develop your country in whatever little means you can. God has given us the ability, He has given us the potentials, He has given us the energy. In fact, we Africans have all it takes to make Africa paradise. So Cameroon is not an exception. Remember, they call us Africa in miniature. It's not for nothing. We have the resources, we have everything. So thank you very much, Mr. Samson Webster, for coming. I'm so elated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right. Mr. Inusa, thank you very much for joining, even though you came late and the meeting is over, but you can still follow the video when it's published on our YouTube channel. I'll do well to send you the link, sir.
I'm sorry. I was in a taxi.
No, it's fine. Thank you very much for the will, and thank you very much for remembering that you could join us at least. It means a lot.
I'm happy.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Samson, thank you very much for coming. I hope to have you again in our subsequent editions. For now, we say bye-bye. Thank you very much and have a nice evening to you all.